Shalom, shalom, shalom. Yisra Ya'el, Yehonathan we with you here once again on what they call the 17th of April, 2022. Thank you, Chris. That's the engineer. He's helping us, Yahweh for Christians, to be more professional. He's helping me to sound good. Once again, that was Minister Michael Moore with Awakening. Chezun, Arabah, HaKhawoote. Chezun, Arabah, HaKhawoote. The vision of the four beasts. Now, is there anything else more important to talk about than the apocalyptic times that we are in? Think about it. See, the thing about it is, in the first century, the time of the book of Acts, they took it seriously. That was over 2,000 years ago. They were selling their stuff. They had all things in common. Now we just chillaxing, talking about the slap. I remember when they killed Kobe Bryant, and that was all the news on the social media, and to distract us from what happened a few weeks later when COVID became the formally hit America. We need to stop being distracted, because this is a time. Do you realize, and I've only mentioned it a few times in this, I don't talk about it too much because I need more research and I'm not really good at this, but the Shemitah, the next Shemitah year is September 25th. And the Shemitah is the 7-year cycles that Yahweh instituted from day one. And then we know the 50th year is Jubilee. Jubilee is when we are free, everything goes back to where it was, there's no debt. And that's important because throughout the history of mankind, every 50 years, there was a significant event in history. That is coming up September 25th. Give or take a few days. So who knows? We know Yahweh comes at the appointed times. He gives us warning. He does not trick us. Those who look for him and looking for him. He's going to come at the appointed time. And if he doesn't, I'm not saying that we cannot predict the end of the world, but that is something to look at. And if it does not happen at that time, then the next time you have to look at will be in August of 2029. But in the meantime, we don't know when it is. And like I told you, I did tell you when the absolute exact moment when HaMashiach is going to return. He's going to return the moment you take your last breath. So it wouldn't matter whether he comes next week or a million years from now. When you draw your last breath, that's the second coming, either for grace or for or for salvation or for judgment. So since you don't know when your last breath is going to be, it will behoove you, us, to take these times seriously. You know how bad things are. Take them seriously. Now, this word Chawah, which is translated in English beast, is Hebrew word number 2423. And Daniel uses this word Chawah throughout the entire book of Daniel. And and there are about 6 different words, Hebrew words for beast. Daniel uses this one. It's a female word. A female word for beast. And he uses this. There's a few other words that are for beast that are female, but for the most part, we look at it as a male thing. It means something, because remember, a nation is identified via the woman's seed, not the man. So, for example, if a child is born and has a Hebrew mother and a Greek father or whoever, he's Hebrew. The nation is identified, and nations are identified as a female. And there are a lot of Hebrew words that. One of the things about the Hebrew language is English is nothing like it. We have table, book, chair, house. It's just a word. But in Hebrew, every word is either female or male. Every word. So words like flock or folds, sheepfolds, those are female words. And why are they female words? Because remember, Genesis 3:15. Everything is seed versus seed. Hasatan's seed has a seed, and it's going to be crushed by the woman's seed, not man's seed, the woman's seed. So words that deal with bringing on a generation, furthering the generation of female words like flock, folds, nations, and this word beast. Okay, so, and again, why animals? Why is Yahweh, why are we reading all these things about animals? Well, again, like I said, keep it simple, saints. What did Mother HaKhawoote get food through? A beast. And remember, I'm the one that using original words, original truth helps us to understand more clearly what happened. This was a female beast. Hasatan entered a female beast. That's the world's first drag queen. The beast on the tree was a female beast. That was girl-to-girl talk there on the tree. So Hasatan deceives Mother HaKhawoote via a beast. So Yahweh, everything goes full circle, like we talked about in Isaiah. Everything goes full circle. So Yahweh is revelation, and it's going to come via the beast. The first covenant Yahweh made with the animals was the covenant of dumbness. Dumb does not mean intellect. When Yahweh dumbed the animals, that means they were no longer able to speak. There was a covenant he made for them for this time, because he went through them to educate us how to get back to Yahweh. That's why you have animal sacrifices, an innocent creature who did nothing wrong. They had nothing to do with what was happening on that tree. Yet they're the ones up on the altar having their throat slit. So all the revelation that we get comes through beast. That's why you have all the animal sacrifices. That's why you have Daniel and all these dreams of being through beast. That's when we get the revelations. Everything is animals. We got to see, well, Mother HaKhawoote got to see through an animal. So we're going to get clarity through animals. And that's why Yahweh for Christians does original words, original truth, to help get us to get clarity. And this is what Hasatan used to trick us. So Yahweh's going to use it to trick him. That's going to lead me to my first scripture, Psalm 18:26. Why did I just say what I just said? Psalm 18:26. This is David talking about how a whole lot, it's a very long psalm, beautiful psalm, how Yahweh reacts to us as we interact with him. And it reads, with the pure, you will show yourself pure. With the devious, you will show yourself shrewd. And he goes on, it talks about how Yahweh responds to those based on how they respond to him. Now that word, the English word devious, in Hebrew is 6141, akashi, and it means twisted or perverted. So you don't understand that in English. What David is saying is, if you come before Yahweh as a twisted or perverted person, he will come to you as shrewd. But the Hebrew word for shrewd is 6617, pathal, and it means to twist. That means what is given to you, you twist it. So if you're going to come to Yahweh as a twisted or perverted person, Yahweh's going to come back to you and twist it back to you. So what Yahweh is doing is he's revealing to the person as they come to him the way what they are. See, Yahweh reads the heart. Where you present to him is where he shows you. Remember that old fairy tale, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The mirror shows the person what they are, and they see what they see. So Yahweh is showing just, and Hasatan, he came at Eve as a perverted, twisted thing. Yahweh is going to show beast things back to him for his revelation. This is all about revelation. This is why Daniel Revelations is all about animals and beasts. And there's a difference. You're going to see animals and creatures. We're going to talk about that. So this is to take this mystery away from you. Why we need to study these is because this is the revelation of what's really going on. These beasts and animals are as deep as revealing. I'm going to show you what is really seen. Remember, the whole thing about Nebuchadnezzar's dream was not about him, the statue. He saw what he wanted to see. It really was the Kohen Gadol, the chief priest. A righteous eyes will have seen that. That's going to take me to Psalm 8 and 2. Since I'm already there in Psalm, let me go to Psalms 8 and 2. Go back a few chapters. Psalm 8 and 2. And it reads, out of the mouth of babes and nursing infants, you have ordained strength because of your enemies, that you may silence the enemy and the avenger. Babes and nursing infants. See how Yahweh does this? And this was quoted by Yahweh Shua in Matthew 21, 15 and 16, when the Satan seed told him, hey, stop these children from not calling you Hamashiach. He said, wait a minute, haven't you read Psalm 8, 2? Yahweh is, I'm telling you, he's going to make Satan, the accuser, look stupid. Out of the mouth of nursing babes, not strong, mighty men of valor and war. Out of the remnant, and I'm the one that showed you this in Yahweh for Christians, are children, widows, and the elderly. That's what the remnant is. So this thing about mirroring, Yahweh showing the person who engages in him what they are, that's gonna help you understand better when you get to Revelations about the glassy sea. In that glassy sea, what does Yahweh Shua see? Himself. And that is us, purified, because we're going to mirror the object of our desire, the one we love. And right now we don't mirror him. We too busy out there hating and dividing between different peoples because of their color and sex or whatever. Now let's go to the meat. Daniel 12. Yehonathan week with you here, Yahweh for Christians. The topic, Chezun Arabah HaKhawoote, the vision of the four beasts. Now I'm just going to read Daniel. Actually, let's go to Daniel 12, 4 and 9 first. I'm not going to go to Daniel 7 yet. Daniel 12, 4 and 9. Why are we now understanding this? Daniel 12, 4 and 9, and it reads, but you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many will run to and fro, and knowledge will increase. Now verse 9. And he said, go your way, Daniel, because the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Like I said, this is the time of the end. If they believed in the first century, during the time of the book of Acts, that was the time of the end, how close are we now 2,000 plus years later? And remember I told you, knowledge increasing has nothing to do with planes, trains, and automobiles and computers. Nothing to do with that. The increase of knowledge is the increase of the knowledge of the revelation of Yahweh Shua. The things I'm talking about today, I did not know when I first came into this 40 plus years ago. We are learning more about Yahweh Shua and his revelation of the reconciliation and his return and the redemption. It's not about the inventions of man. Anybody can prophesy that, if you want to call it prophecy. I can tell you 10 years from now, if the world is here, there's going to be more inventions. We're going to have flying cars, whatever. That's not prophecy. The prophecy is that the knowledge of Yahweh Shua is increasing. And the Malak told him that it's going to be sealed up until the end. So this is why right now, as I'm on this mic, we can go ahead and talk about these things and understand them, which they didn't understand it back then. They couldn't have. But we do today. Now let's take us to Daniel 7, 15 to 27. Daniel 7, 15 to 27. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near to one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter. He's already was given the vision of the beast. I'm just going to read the interpretation of the beast. But the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom. No, verse 17. Those great beasts which are four kings, which arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I wish to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with his teeth and iron and his nails of bronze, which devoured both and broke in pieces and trampled the residue of his feet. And the 10 horns that were on his head, and the other horn which came up before, which were 3, fell, namely that horn which had eyes and a mouth which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than its fellows. I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints, and prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. And let's see, I'm going down to verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast will be a fourth kingdom, which will be different from all other kingdoms, and will devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns or 10 kings shall rise from the kingdom, and another will arise after them. He will be different from the first ones, and will subdue 3 kings. He will speak pompous words against the Most High, will persecute the saints of the Most High, and will intend to change times and laws that the saints will be given into. Then the saints will be given into his hand for a time and a half of time. I'm going to read 2 more verses. But the court will be seated, and they will take away his dominion to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions will serve and obey him. Now, remember we talked about this months ago, and about this Daniel Revelations, that the fear of Yahweh, not the Lord, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. And that the testimony of Yahweh, the testimony of Yahweh, not the Lord God Jesus Christ, is the Ruach of prophecy. So obviously when I give the understanding of this here, I'm coming from a mind of someone who fears Yahweh, who has an edut of Yahweh. So when the things you've heard in Sunday school and even in Sabbath school are very superficial, not saying they're inaccurate, they're superficial, but the deeper meaning is what we care about. Because I'm a Hebrew and you say you are. From cover to cover, this KJV is your history of a Hebrew people. So we don't give a flip about Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Greece, Medo-Persia. We don't care about all those. They had their time and their place, but that's all gone. Here we are still now, what they call 2022. So obviously there's something more going on and deeper, because what you've been hearing before is not enough. Like I said, Yahweh used animals to give the revelation because we got deceived. Mother Hawk got deceived via an animal. Now let's go backwards. And by the way, and these. So what I'm saying now is that this interpretation is the 4 forms of Yisrael. That's what it is. It's the 4 forms of Yisrael. And the history of Yisrael is what these creatures are showing us. Not what you heard in Sunday school or even in Sabbath school. Let me go back to Daniel 7 and 2. Daniel 7 and 2. And I'm going to show what I just said, okay? We're going to back it up from the book. But Daniel 7:2 says, Daniel spoke, saying, I saw in my vision by night, and look, the 4 winds of heaven are stirring up the great sea. There comes the first division of what I'm going to show you here to what you've been hearing before. Because we're not understanding, we have not been taught what this great sea is. Yes, we've heard that the sea, it represents peoples, But where does that even come from? Remember, and these four winds of the seas, it blew these peoples through the four corners of the earth. Again, like I said, this is what separates Yahweh's seed from all others. You know who Yahweh's people are because of the transatlantic slave trade. How we have been spread across the earth by the winds of the sea. They didn't fly us over here, and we didn't walk. We got over here through the seas. This separates, there's no other groups of peoples, no one, even our beloved Jewish brothers, who has the history that we have, the unique history of other peoples having shipped us across the globe, all across the four corners of the earth. Verse 3, and on the wings of the sails, and the first ship, your good ship Jesus, which was called Jesus at that time, but still, Jesus. Verse 3 of Daniel 7. And the four beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. So these beasts come from the sea. Didn't they ship us on the seas? Yisrael is the beast, is the peoples from the seas. It's all Yisrael. It's all us. We're the only ones that got, the four winds took us across all the four corners of the earth. So this right here speaks to us. We are the ones. See, the thing about Israel has always had, see why they say black people don't swim. This is one of the reasons why, for the most part, we are not people who sail and swim, and you're not going to see us too much winning the Olympics and water sports. It's not our thing. Not too much. Because our history does not speak well about the seas. Herod threw all the males 2 years and under in the sea. Pharaoh, the one that enslaved us, came from the sea. I gave that lesson. He was blue. He was created by Hasatan from the Nile Sea. And check out on the old YouTube channel for that. And one of my favorite movies of all time, I don't know if you remember this, Chris, Apocalypto. You saw Apocalypto? What was Apocalypto? Throughout the entire movie, there's a backdrop going on that we're not aware of. We just see it as, you saw the movie for what it was, where you had these factions, these tribes fighting one another, and then the ones who were caught trying to run, the guy they called Almost, and running and trying to save his wife who was pregnant, and then had another, beautiful, it was very tense. The whole movie was tense. But in the backdrop, which we didn't know until the end, that made a jaw drop and go, aha, was what? The so-called white man, the European man, coming to the shores. And that's why the movie was called Apocalypto, because what they didn't know was that was the beginning of the end of their world. See, so good things don't come to Hebrews from the sea. We don't have a history of good things coming to us from the sea. This is why the pictographic Ivori picture of it is a mem. Mem is a sea, and it speaks to danger. It could be poison from wine. Now it could be something good, but most likely dangerous. We know Moshe was redeemed from the sea. So Moses, he was drawn from the sea, from the river Nile, so you can get some good things from it. But for the most part, when it comes to things coming from the water, from us, look all the bad things that happened to Shaul in the water. Look all the bad things. Twice the disciples attacked in the water. Yahweh had come and save them. So we ain't too much into that sea stuff. We ain't too much into that sea stuff. Now you all packed up in there like sardines being shipped to another country. So this is us. This speaks to us. This is the proof of it, that Daniel 7, 2 and 3, that is all about Hebrews. Remember, this book is your history. It ain't about Greeks. Not less and it's about other peoples only as they relate with us. Only as they connect with us are they spoken of. So these four beasts come from the sea, which where we came from. Okay? As we were shipped. Now let's what came before this? Give you a deeper understanding of this sea? The Hebrew word is Go to 1 Kings 7. 1 Kings 7. And the wisest man ever born of a man and woman, Shlomo. This man was wise, knew what he was doing. I'm going to read 7 and 23 to 26 and then verse 39. 1 Kings 7, 23. And that's not it. Let's go back a little further. Okay. 23, and it reads, and he made the sea of cast bronze 10 cubits from one brim to the other. It was completely round. Its height was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits measured in its circumference. Below its brim were ornamental buds encircling it all around, 10 to a cubit, all the way around the sea. The ornamental buds were cast in 2 rows when it was cast. It stood in 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, 3 towards the west, 3 towards the south, and 3 towards the east. The sea was sat upon them, and all their back parts pointed inward. It was a handbreadth thick, and its brim was shaped like the brim of a cup, like a lily blossom. It contained 2,000 baths. That was a huge sea. Go down to verse 39. And he put 5 carts on the right side of the house and 5 on the left side of the house. And he set the sea on the right side of the house toward the southeast. This is when Shlomo built the temple. And this sea is where it was after the altar that the priests clean their hands and wash themselves and clean themselves. But look at the term sea. Why does Shlomo make this sea? And it was bronze. Remember the bronze skirt of the Nebuchadnezzar? The bronze teeth of the beast? And what the bronze means. If you get my second book, which I'll give it to you for free, it talks about the color of man and this color bronze. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm way ahead of the curve on these colors and on these materials and on these animals. Way ahead of the curve. Why sea? And why? And once again, being taught by animals, 12 oxen pointed back, all their butts was facing each other, and they pointed facewards to each corners of the earth. Oxen, which represents the Goy nations. So we going through the Goy, the sea, they had this big bronze bowl of water, which is termed sea. Represents us. Shlomo, in his wisdom, already knew it was going to be spread throughout the other world. As a matter of fact, Shlomo is the one that sent those ones from the movie Apocalypto. They came from Yisrael. The first people in this land of America, KKK, were Hebrews. Shlomo sent over here. So we got this sea. So here we go. Before Daniel, in 1 Kings, you've been shown where this word sea comes from. Again, I'm supporting my position that these beasts are Yisrael. Coming from the sea. I'm supporting my case here. That's why I'm going back here to 1 Kings. And what did Jude say? Jude, the brother of Yahushua, in Jude 13, called this sea raging and foaming. Read Jude. But particularly in verse 13, raging and foaming sea. Okay, just like a beast. Revelation 17 and 15. What does the harlot sit on? The harlot sits on the sea. And what we learned in Sunday school, where this was the Christian church apostatized. They say, hey, we're the good Christians. That's the apostatized Christianity. Or beginning they say it's Rome. That's Catholic. The Christians blame saying the whore is Catholicism. Then the Catholics say, well, it's the apostatized Catholics. Everybody wants to push it off on someone else. But as we talked about the last few weeks, with the ascension of Yahushua and the spreading of the message of the Basor, what you call gospel in that first century, turned the world upside down. So now the whole world be turned from polytheistic to monotheistic. Eventually, Islam was last, but you had Islam, a monotheistic deity. They are not. Oh, they did not. They're not a whore. They only speak to Allah. They don't go there talk about no Hashem. They don't go there talk about no JC. They only is Allah. And our Judaic brothers only talk about Hashem. They're monotheistic. They don't talk about JC, and they ain't talking about Allah. They only talk about Hashem. They are monotheistic. There's two monotheistic doctrines. But guess what? Christianity is also monotheistic. I'm ex-Christian, but talk about Jesus Christ. They do not preach Allah. They do not preach Buddha, Hare Krishna. They do not preach Hashem. Only Jesus Christ. So we got three monotheistic doctrines. But which one did Rome choose? Why did Rome choose Christianity? Because Christianity has chosen to, as a harlot, to receive all of the Greek and Roman gods. Only of those monotheistic doctrines, Christianity is the only one to receive Easter and Christmas, the Roman calendar. Those other two faiths don't. They have their own calendar. Christianity is the only one that received other lovers, or in her bed. She received, so it was no problem. It was a seamless transition for Rome to Christianity. Why not? They did this to try to keep Rome together, and it worked. There's no other kingdom in the history of mankind that lasts as long as the Roman kingdom. They did it by finding a monotheistic doctrine that they can get in bed with and keep their own identity. So that's why Revelation 17:15, the whore sits on the sea. So what is it? This is why Yahweh for Christians ministry is here. I came out of Christianity. I'm trying to get my brothers and sisters to come out of it because I love them and I know they have a monotheistic doctrine, which is good, but they're applying it to the wrong person. They're not realizing that the whore in Revelation 17:15 that sits on the sea is them. They're not realizing it. But here with original words, original truth, you will learn it. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just passionate for what is the truth. You cannot open this scripture, this Bible, and point to January 1st being the new year. You cannot find Easter and Christmas and all this other stuff in here. You cannot find it, but Christianity does it. But our Jewish brothers and our Islamic brothers do not do it. You might disagree with what they believe in, but at least they not hoes. They ain't hoes. They sticking to their one lover. Christianity is in bed with everything. Like white rice goes with anything. And you want to talk about who these beasts are. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. That's why I opened up with Psalms 18:26. Look in the mirror. From the sea comes the beast that arises out. It is Israel. Original words will give you original truth. Original words will give you original truth, and you'll find out who it is. It's Hebrews who are out there fussing and cussing and hating the white man and hating each other. Hating Jews. Acting very beastly out there. That's why I don't have a lot of y'all following me, because I don't support you. You're beastly. That's in the scriptures. The first beast, the lion, with the strength, and it has wings. What are the wings for? We know everybody wants to be Judah, beat their chest and got the t-shirts and all that and the hat and all that other stuff. The Lion of Judah with the wings, we flew out of Egypt. Exodus 19:4. So we got the Lion of Judah, fine. That's us. We leave Egypt. But once we got to the promised land 40 years later from disobedience, what happened? Yahweh stopped sending the manna and stopped giving us water from the rock. We had to be like a man and stand on our own 2 feet. What did the lion do? He lost his wings and stood up like a man on 2 feet. And the 2 feet traversed the river Jordan. Why? Because on the east side of Jordan, you had Ephraim, Manasseh, and you had Ephraim, half tribe Manasseh, and you had the tribe of Dan. On the other side of the Jordan, the other side where the lion stood, you had the rest of the tribes. have I made a strong case for the lion being Yisrael. The wings flew us out of Egypt. He stands up like a man, and guess what? Yahweh gave him a soft heart. Why? Because a heart gives you a chance to rebel, or you can do righteous. Which one? Just like the tree of TORAH, a good and evil. Yahweh seeks relationship with us. He does not make robots. If he wanted to make a robot and we just go ahead and be like animals, because animals don't sin. They go by instincts. He made us higher than the animals. So that's why we had a tree of good and evil there. Because you can choose good, or you can choose Tob, or you can choose Ra. And if you say, well, listen, just take it out so we can't sin. Well, then if you take that out, then you don't need Yahweh, because you just as good as him. You don't need him, because you can't do wrong. If you take away the tree of TORAH, you take away relationship with Yahweh. You take away the relationship. You make yourself just an animal. Because just like the animals who operate by instincts, they don't go out and just go ahead and just sin. They don't do that. We do that. We do that. So this lion's given a heart of flesh, which, let's go talk about this heart. Let's go to Ezekiel 11:19. Ezekiel 11:19. Yahweh help me. Yahweh help me as I teach your people, oh Yahweh, I pray. Teach them in love and patience and wisdom as you give it to me. Then I will give them one heart, and I will put a new ruach within them, and take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh. That's Ezekiel 11:19. When Yahweh's talking about giving us a pure heart, we're not going to have a heart of stone. We're going to have a heart of flesh. A flesh heart, just like this lion did, but one that's going to choose what is right. Let's stay in Ezekiel. Go to 36 and 26. Stay right here in Ezekiel 36, 26. I will give you a new heart and put a new ruach within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. So remember, I'm the one that taught you about how we weren't created with blood. You know, the heart beats blood. Why is it now he's talking about not beating blood? But we're not going to go there. I gave you 12 scriptures on that. Now, so this lion goes from beast to man. From beast to man. Now, let's go to the bear. That's the next animal. Judah, now the bear is Judah and Israel. Because by this time, we have two nations. Remember Jeroboam, who is the Ephraimite. You go to Numbers 2, 1 through 34. And Jeroboam is the Ephraimite. He takes the northern kingdom. Rehoboam has the southern kingdom. Now, if you look at in Numbers 2, 1 through 34, we see how Yisrael is juxtaposed around the Mishkan, which you call the temple. And in that, go to Numbers 2, 1 through 34. Ephraim is on the west. Ephraim is on the west. Ephraim is Jeroboam, the northern kingdom. And on the west, Ephraim is the dominant of those three tribes. Remember how smart Shlomo was with the 12 beasts, the 12 bulls, 3, 6, 9, 12. That's how Israel was set up in Numbers 2, 1 through 34. North, south, east, and west, 3 tribes each. This is, I'm giving you deep stuff. Keep it simple, saints. I'm giving it to you right there. You just never saw it before until just now. Now, Ephraim, where did Ephraim come from? Remember again in Genesis 3:15. The woman's seed is the one that's going to crush Hasatan's head. Rachel is the progenitor of Ephraim, because Rachel is the mother of Yusuf, and Yusuf is the father of Ephraim and Manasseh. Also of Benjamin. Rachel is the mother of Benjamin. Benjamin is the only son that was born in the land of Israel. That's something deep. We'll talk about that another time. Of the 12 sons, we only had one who was born in the Holy Land, the so-called Holy Land. That was Benjamin. So, and then she died. Rachel died. Who was the wife that Jacob loved? Rachel. We don't hear about him loving Leah. Not to say he didn't, but he loved Rachel. And that's why the blessings, remember the blessings promised from Abraham, went from Abraham to Yitzhak to Jacob. What did Jacob do? Go to Genesis 48, 14 to 20 and 49, 22 to 26. They went to Ephraim. Ephraim is the ones that were shipped in this transatlantic slave trade. Ephraim is the one that comes from whom Jacob loved. And Yahweh loves us with an everlasting love. Everyone wants to beat their chest saying that Yehuda, but if you read this, it is Ephraim who is shipped over here. We are of the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh and Dan, mostly. Doesn't mean there aren't some the other tribes. Yes, all of them I'm sure up here, but in great numbers we're Ephraim. Stop beating on your chest trying to be Judah. Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. You're not going to find that in the scriptures. What you'll find is Ephraim was shipped over. Jeremiah 31, 15. This is when Yahweh is trying to console us. Console our mother, Rachel. 31, 15 through 17. And it reads, Thus saith Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel, weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted for her children because they are no more. Thus saith Yahweh, refrain from your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears. For your works will be rewarded, says Yahweh, and they will come back from the land of the enemy. Yahweh says, we're going to come back from the land of the enemy. That means we're not in the Holy Land. For anybody who's in the Holy Land now claiming they're Yahweh's people. Verse 17, there is hope in your future, says Yahweh, that your children will come back to their own border. The hometown dot we with here, Yahweh Preachers on WFBR 1590. Sundays 1 to 2. Tell your preacher, close the church down and tune in. Yahweh has showed mercy on Ephraim. Rachel was crying for her children who were shipped off across the sea. The West, what they call the Western world, that is us, you and me, with that unique history. This thing about Daniel and these beasts, and there's also going to be in Revelations, is your history. It's us. Now, this was quoted in Matthew 2, 16 to 18, when Herod massacred the innocents and threw those 2 years old into the water. This Rachel weeping for her children. She could not be comforted. Yahweh tried to comfort Raquel because of us who are over here in the land of our captivity. What about those ribs? Now, Jeroboam, remember, after the kingdom split, Jeroboam evicted the sons of Levi because he didn't want them to, he wanted to keep loyalty to the northern tribe. So he evicted all the sons of Levi, so people, and sent them to Judah. And he set up his own priest. Now, if you go to 2 Chronicles 11, 13 to 17, this is, I'm teaching some deep stuff here. 2 Chronicles 11, 13 to 17, we see that Levi has 3 divisions. He had 3 sons, so the tribes of Levi are set in 3 divisions: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. So that's in Numbers 3, 25 through 38. Numbers 3, 25, 38. 2 Chronicles 11, 13 to 17 is when Jeroboam kicked out the Levi priests. That's 2 Chronicles 11, 13 to 17. And those 3 divisions are in Numbers 3, 25 through 38. So what happened in the vision? The bear rised up on one side and like a man, that's the northern tribe, and he stood up like a man, just like the lion. Remember, Yahweh is teaching us through beast. Then through the beast, as we learned, we stand up like a man. So the bear, just like the lion, stood up like a man. But he was, so we're learning through these beasts. That's why we had the sacrificial system before the burning down of the temple. And this is why Yahweh made the animals dumb so they couldn't speak. There was a covenant of dumbness for them. They're going to get that back in the new kingdom. So all of this is seed attacking seed. All of this is seed attacking seed. Hasatan's seed attacking you, me, us, we, Yahweh's seed. The third beast is the leopard. Now this leopard, this is deep here too. Once again, it's us. Now he only had 4 wings. Now we know he had all those heads, but only 4 wings. Now to support that, I could go to Isaiah 6 and 2, Ezekiel 1 and 6, and Revelations 4 and 8, and Revelations 12 and 14. This shows you about the appropriate amount of wings for the heads. This this leopard only had 4 wings, not 8 like some people have taught you. Now, what does that represent? That is Josiah's kingdom. And remember, Josiah exercised authority even over Judah. See, Josiah, let's read it. You want to read about Josiah? I'm not going to go there. Go to 2 Chronicles 34, verse 6 and 7. And then go to 2 Kings 23 and 19. So we see that Josiah, who was one of our greatest kings ever, so much so that he exercised authority over the northern kingdom. This is why, let me go back to Daniel. This is why in Daniel 7:6, it states, let me go back to that to see why, so you know why it says this. In Daniel 7:6, it reads, "After this I looked, and there was another, like a leopard, which had on his back 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it." It didn't say it about any other beast. So the leopard, dominion was given to it. And that was Josiah, who dominion was of the northern kingdom was given to. Remember, the kingdom was split, north and south. But the dominion of the north was given to him. So great was Josiah, his birth was prophesied. 1 Kings 13 and 2. 1 Kings 13 and 2. This is how great this king was. 1 Kings 13 and 2. Then he cried out against the altar by the word of Yahweh and said, "O altar, altar, thus says Yahweh, look, a child, Hoshea, by name, will be born to the bed of David. And on you he will sacrifice the priests of the high places who burn incense on you, and men's bones will be burned on you." So Hoshea, who we call Josiah, was prophesied by name in 1 Kings 13 and 2. He is one of our most noteworthy kings of all time. Let's go to 2 Kings 23 and 25. 2 Kings 23 and 25. And my time is running out, I know. And it reads, "Now before him there was no king like him, who turned to Yahweh with all his all his heart, with all his nephesh, all his soul, and with all his might, all his sa'id, according to all the law of Moshe. Nor after him did any arise like him." This is what they're saying about what you call King Josiah. King Josiah was one of our greatest kings of all time. And dominion, it says in Daniel 7:6, was given to him. Once again, I'm showing you from the scriptures, proving my position that all of these beasts are Yisrael. That's what I'm doing here. Now, we're not finished. What about these 4 wings? King Josiah had 4 sons, 4 descendants. He had Jehoahaz, Eliakim, Jehoiachin, and Mattaniah. And you can read about them in 2 Kings, and you can read about them in 2 Chronicles. 4 sons. Those are the 4 wings. Why 4 wings? Look at the narrative. All 4 of his sons were carted off to either Babylon or Egypt. All 4 of them. None of them remained in the Kodesh land. They were all carted off to Babylon or Egypt. This is why the leopard, who represents Josiah, had 4 wings. Now, this is deep because even though the seed that's going to crush Hasatan's head comes from the woman. The legal seed comes from the man. Josiah's comes from the line of Dawid. If all his sons were carried off to Babylon or Egypt, that ends the legal line of the seed. That means David's line is dead. That means no Mashiach is coming back. But that is not the end of that story. Now remember that the line was preserved by Jehoiachin via Zerubbabel. Remember Zerubbabel came back with Ezra and Nehemiah to the Holy Land, and they rebuilt the wall and reinstituted the sacrifices. This is why, if you go to Matthew 1, I wasn't going to go there. If you go to Matthew 1, so this saved it. This one Yahweh keeps his eyes on the seed. Otherwise, this would have ended the line of David. It would have been gone, over. But we know that that's not what happened, because if you go to Matthew 1, 11 through 16, Josiah begat Jeconiah and his brothers about the time they were carried away to Babylon. See, I just told that story. But what happened? Verse 12. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begat Shealtiel, and Shealtiel begat Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel begat Abihud, Abihud begat Eliakim, and Eliakim begat Azor, and Azor begat Zadok, Zadok begat Achim, and Achim begat Eliud, and Eliud begat Eleazar, and Eleazar begat Matan, and Matan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Yusuf, the husband of Miriam, of whom was born Yahweh HaMashiach. See how that goes? It goes in full circle. So this whole thing is seed versus seed. Hasatan thinking to destroy the seed, Yahweh's seed that's supposed to destroy his head. It was preserved. You just read it there in Matthew 1, 11 through 16. So he almost did it, but then again, that's the legal side. That's the man seed. That's still not, because Miriam did not come. Miriam, Yahweh, the Ruach HaKodesh overshadowed Miriam. So it's her seed that we know Yahweh came from. So that's what it's all about. So next week, though, I'm not going to have time to go into the fourth beast, but I want to alert you. Do you notice a difference between these first three and the fourth? The first three are real animals, identifiable animals. You have a lion, you have a bear, and you have a leopard. But the fourth beast is different from all the others. It's not an animal. It's a literal beast. And remember, it's a female beast. And remember, I'm the one that told you that the beast on the tree was a female beast. Hasatan, that's the world's first drag queen. Hasatan was in a female beast, the weaker sex. He got to that, and that's what deceived Eve. Now we got this beast we're going to talk about next week. It's not like any other animal. It's not like any other animal, never seen before or never seen since. This is the absolute nadir of Yisrael. This is the worst of Yisrael. This is the absolute worst. Remember, years ago, I did a whole couple of weeks on Ezekiel 16. And then next one was Ezekiel, I think is Ezekiel 27. Talks about how bad we are, how beastly we are. Well, this is going to be the worst. I don't want to start it now because of the time. But do your homework, go back to Daniel 7, and then we're going to pick up where the fourth beast, which will be the fourth kingdom of the earth, which will be different from all other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth, trample it and break it in pieces. So until next week, Yehonatan week we be here. Remember, the 8th of May, HaKhawoote, Shalom Aleichem, peace be on you.